getting my whole arm. I can hear the comments right now. They're like, she should have stopped. What's up, guys? Welcome back. I hope that my microphone is working this time because I've already filmed this video once and it was an all-out disaster. So today we're going to be counting down my cream blushes from worst to best. When I say worst, I mean the ones that I don't reach for as often. Everything that I own, I love. If I don't love it, I've decluttered it for the most part. So we're gonna talk through all of them. There are a lot of different categories. This time last week, we counted down my powder blushes and I only had 14. And you guys were like, I'm kind of unimpressed with 14 blushes, Khaki. And I was like, I understand, but I think it's because most people were bracing themselves for my cream blush collection, which is like 30 deep, but a lot of them are the same product, same formula more or less, but just different shades. So it'll go a little quicker than that. But we are going to be swatching all of them, comparing the ones that I feel like are worth comparing for either shade or formula and maybe getting a better price, you know, depending on your preferences. And I also, if you can't tell, I only have just like a little bit of Westman Atelier Vital Skin Foundation stick on my face right now, as well as mascara, brows, lip gloss, so that if I feel so compelled at any point in the video, I might just start applying blush to my face, which is pretty much what you're used to seeing in any of my videos. So yeah, pretty straightforward. I cannot tell you guys like how disorganized the first time that I filmed this was, and I blew my microphone out. It was just not meant to be, but I'm happy to finally be making this video for you guys. So let's go ahead and jump in. I think I was going for effortless with this hairstyle and it just ended up looking kind of sad and wilted. Okay, so the first one that I want to get out of the way is Dear Dahlia. You guys may or may not have watched that full review. It's a K-beauty line that I wanted to know. You know, sometimes you just want to know. And I bought it all as a package, and I felt like that was probably the most cost-effective way to go about it. But if you were to buy this individually, this little blush, it would be like $32, which is absurd. It's silly, silly. So one side of it is powder, and one side of it is cream. The cream is pretty, but I will not necessarily tell you, I mean, it's very pretty, but it's just not worth the money, you know? I wouldn't necessarily tell you, like, absolutely run out, buy this. It's totally, like, worth splurging on. It's just not a luxury enough of an experience for that, and I don't think it's an undupable shade either. Okay, so I wanted to double check online before I spoke too soon, but this is the Lilah B, b.lovely Divine Duo Lip and Cheek, and they sent this to me, so I did not know the price of it going into this, so when I just double checked, I am pretty darn sure, guys, that this right here, which is smaller than a lip gloss, it is 0.08 ounces, is $46. For reference, this is what I consider to be a very expensive product, and we're gonna get to it later. It's more close to my favorites, but it is the Baby Cheeks Blush Stick from Westman Atelier, and I think it's $46 or $48. And you get 0.21 ounces. You get, what is that, almost 3 times as much? I guess I never really regarded Lilah B as being like that high end of a luxury product line, and this doesn't perform so unbelievably amazingly well that I'm like, absolutely run out and get it. It's a little bit too, I don't know, what's the word? Greasy. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a little bit too greasy. I'm leaving a gap here because I want to be able to put shades next to each other that go together. Benefits of filming something more than once. But again, not a bad formula, not a bad color, not a bad product, just a bad price. Okay, the next one is pretty recent here on my channel, and this is the Freck Cheek Slime. It's a pretty cool product. I do think that it is a very unique formula if this is what you're looking for. And I believe that part of my job here is to really make clear to you guys what these formulas perform like. So this one dries down. I compare it most to like a liquid lipstick. So it goes on like a liquid, and when you put it on with a brush or something, you'll notice as you're spreading it out, it dries faster than you're used to. And that is the one drawback that kind of keeps it from being higher up on my list, because that's a beautiful color. I do think it's a pretty formula, and it wears beautifully over the course of the day because it is super pigmented and it does have a lot of staying power, but the application is a little bit frustrating just because it dries so fast. If you can get it right, you get it right, and it's totally beautiful, and it's an amazing bang for your buck. It is $18 and you get 0.845 fluid ounces. Like, that's pretty bomb if this is your choice, if this is what you like, but I do want to let you guys know that the formula is a little bit frustrating. So it is in the shade cuffed. Okay, next, I want to go ahead and round up these two cheek sticks right here that are probably some of the oldest in my collection. So this is the ILIA multi-stick in a fine romance, and this is the On Me boosting lip and cheek stick in Cruise. So these are beautiful, but they are not like super, super favorites for a couple of reasons. We'll start with the ILIA. So the ILIA, some of the chief complaints that I've seen about this have just been around the inconsistency of the pigmentation in the formula from shade to shade. We'll get into that when we talk about Fenty as well, but this is such a gorgeous shade, and I keep it around because it is so pretty, but you have to be really, really careful. I need to get this further over because when I hold my wrist up, you can't really see it. Swatch queen! As always. Again, this is a really, really gorgeous kind of cranberry rose, I would say. And it is, again, the shade of Fine Romance. And then the other one that I had here, kind of in the same spot, they're sort of sharing their spot on the podium, is Cruise. So this is such a beautiful shade from On Me. The one drawback to this is, well, it's one of those shades that I think is going to look really good on me, and then it doesn't really look that good on me. And so I was always like, I don't know, I put it on and I'm like, this is just such a dreamy tropical tone, and it just doesn't read on me the way that I think that it's going to. And you can see that this one is pretty, it dries down a little bit, the ILIA, and this one is super glossy. It's like balmy and totally translucent. So the difference that we will kind of draw between some of these shades and some of the formulas is just that sometimes they will have opacity behind them, and that means that they don't necessarily work on deeper skin tones all the time. Whereas there will be some that are extremely saturated with pigmentation, but they will also be translucent, which means that they don't have any kind of opacity to them. They'll be more of like a watercolor wash, and that is good for all skin tones in the sense that there won't be any ashiness, but it might be too pigmented for some people's skin. So yes, this is a shade that I think is super, super beautiful, but for $30, this is super dupeable. That's the other thing that I think kind of puts this lower on the list, is just that the shade Cruise, as beautiful as it is, we can get it elsewhere for less money. If formula is super, super, super important to you, like the integrity of the ingredients, you know, ILIA and On Me, I bought these in my like very strict clean beauty phase, and they are very, very clean. So like that is definitely, if like that's worth your money, then that's worth your money kind of thing. I do think that these are dupeable shades. So speaking of dupability, we have the Florence by Mills Cheek Me Later Cream Blush in Gorgeous Gia. This is such a find. It is so good. Again, though, it's just kind of like a shade that doesn't necessarily, oh, well, the packaging just broke. That's cool. It's a shade that doesn't necessarily look tremendously amazing on me. I will start putting blush on towards the end when we get to my like favy faves, but look at this. Me. Look at how similar that shade and that formula is to the On Me. And I just think that for your money, yes, we are using, you know, more synthetics, you know, preservatives and things like that in this, but if that's okay with you, the Florence by Mills is a way better deal for the amount of product that you're getting for your money in pretty much an unmistakably similar shade. So yeah. And in that same kind of, again, sharing their spot on the podium, especially price-wise, is the Honest Beauty. I really think that this is one of the best bargains out there. First of all, the formula is really different. I want to kind of show it to you. It's a little bit stiffer. Okay, so it takes a little bit to get this guy started. And it's just because it's a little bit harder of a formula, almost like a little bit waxier. And as a result, it goes on just a little bit matte-er. And oops, really not good at doing this in my viewfinder. There we go. There's the Honest Beauty. This is peony pink. It is not only a little bit stiffer and madder of a formula, but as a result, you can wear this a little bit more versatilely, if you will. It works on top of powder. I've seen Tati do it a dozen times. She does a great job of kind of putting it on gently with a sponge. There are a few other formulas kind of in this spread that will do that, and I just find that to be a really like, just like an interesting part of the formula to point out, and also valuable for your money. I'm pretty sure at full price, these are $12.99, and you get 0.1 ounces. Okay, now we're getting into kind of the upper half or upper 2/3, I guess you would say. So we are going to kind of in the same category talk about both Tower 28 and Fenty. So that's because they're really, I feel like, similar formulas. The shade that I really love in Tower 28, which is a little bit glossier, a little bit creamier than the Fenty, but still very comparable, is the shade Magic Hour. It's so beautiful. That's just a really like pretty rosy, you know, easy to wear shade for someone like me. This is just something that I lean on really hard because it's neutral instead of being too warm or too cool. And I feel like I could just apply it as the day is long, and it goes on so beautifully. These are the same price. The Tower 28 and the Fenty, they're both $20 per, but you get more product in the Tower 28, but there is a much larger shade range in the Fenty. Again, I'm gonna touch on that in a second. The other shade that I got, because I could not get Golden Hour, is Happy Hour. And it is a bright, beautiful pink, but you can see this one, the Magic Hour, is more opaque and has just, you know, more coverage essentially. And then the Happy Hour is more translucent. So it's going to be a hot pink, but it's going to have less of an opacity to it. So it's going to be more of a wash of color. I said I was going to do this, so let's go ahead and put some of these on my face here. So I'm going to actually go in with Magic Hour because it's so beautiful. And this is going almost onto bare skin. I put on like a whisper, like I said, of the Westman Atelier Vital Skin Stick, and I wear the shade Atelier 0 for those asking. But you can see that that picks up a very common tone with what already exists in my skin, like my lips and stuff like that. And when you find that you feel like your blush might be a little bit too much, applying a little bit more concealer, kind of bringing it back down to earth, or wipe your brush off and just blend until you like it. And that's just kind of a base coat, I feel like, of a blush that's gonna give me like a neutral starting point. If you are unfamiliar with my philosophy on blush, I think that more is more. I am going to touch that up just a little bit with a little bit more of my Westman Atelier real quick. But yeah, I'm a big fan of blush as just a focal point of a look. I think everybody's got their thing that they want to focus on. You know, some people have gigantic eyes. Focus on your gigantic eyes, you know. Do what flatters you, do what makes you feel confident. For me, it's just a really like strong flush on the cheeks. It makes me feel really cute. Oh, something else that I want to mention before we move on. You don't necessarily have to buy cream blushes. And you guys are like, wait, Khaki, I thought this was a video about cream blushes and you have literally dozens of them. Like, where are you going with this? You might have the shades and the formulas that you already need as lipsticks, because a lot of these are lip and cheek, you know? That's what they're meant for. They're basically just kind of universal creams to use wherever you think is flattering on your face. And so, hello, if you have a lipstick that is even slightly matte, so like the Bite Beauty ones are perfect for this because they're like a creamy matte. And then also, this is not the shade I would use. This is the shade that I would use. Look at this. This is the Glossier Generation G. Look at that beautiful, oh boy, my tan, oh no, my tan has rubbed off right where the bead of my C-bands goes. That is fashion. So this is Jam in Generation G from Glossier, and it is, I was gonna say in a pinch, but like not even in a pinch. It's a beautiful mattifying cream blush because it's super dimethicone based, so it's gonna be absolutely gorgeous on the skin. And then this is Pavlova. We'll just, I don't know, put her here. This is gonna be hilarious, but look at that. Look at the saturation, look at the pigmentation on that, and when it dries down, it does go a tiny bit matte, and so when you spread that out, you can use so many of the lipsticks that you already have. If you like them on your lips, there's a really good chance you're gonna like them on your cheeks. Just give it a whirl first, especially if you're like, reticent about dipping a toe in any of these products right away. If you're like, I've never tried a cream product, Khaki, like what, you know, where do I start? Start with your lipstick, you know, see if you like it. Okay, so we've covered Tower 28. Now I want to talk about Fenty. So the big thing that I want to call attention to with Fenty is the fact that I think that I got lucky with the shades that I chose because I kind of went safe / I studied the heck out of those swatches online to make sure that they worked on pale skin. I do think that they could do a better job of conveying the shades that are meant for people with more melanin, because Fenty does do a great job of making shades for everybody and being really inclusive. But right now we can only shop online, and so we can't go in and swatch it and see how pigmented something is in order to tell whether it's going to work on our actual skin tone. And I didn't used to think that that was a problem. I watched my friend Kate, her channel is State of Kate. I watched her do a try on of her Sephora sale haul, and she actually only got one shade of the Fenty cream blush, and she got it in Daiquiri Dip, and she does not like it because it's too pigmented for her. She's, you know, kind of a similar skin tone to me. And you just kind of touch your finger in it and it's so saturated, you can't even blend it out to a point that it looks flattering. Like, it's just too much. But if you watch Jackie Aina put it on, she loves it and even says it's a little bit too sheer. So you can tell that Fenty knew what they were doing, but they just don't necessarily convey which pigments are high intensity. So I feel like that is the only challenge, the only kind of drawback is trying to navigate the shade range. So if you didn't watch that video, the shades that I got were Rosé Latte, Cool Berry, Summertime Wine, and Drama Class. And I'm gonna swatch all of those for you guys. Okay, so this is Summertime Wine. And it is similar, but a little bit less balmy than the Tower 28. It is just a little bit lighter weight. The big thing that I do think is like the selling point of this particular release is how unique the shades are. They are very, very cool. I just think that they did a fantastic job on these actual shades because, you know, yes, there are some, like I said, I think I went pretty safe. I did go the safe route on these, and I picked shades, with the exception of Drama Class, that I just feel like are right inside of my comfort zone. But at the same time, they offer so many shades that I feel like everybody's gonna kind of find something that they're comfortable with. Everybody's comfort zone is a little bit different. That's a cat hair. Thanks, Bruce. So this one is more purple. This is Cool Berry, and it looks crazy. Like, it doesn't look like it's going to be super flattering on my skin tone because it's so purple, but it actually goes on so beautifully. Actually, do we want to put that on? Do we want to put that one on? Let's put that one on. And we're just gonna touch and be gentle here. So again, Cool Berry, and it's cool. She did a good job of naming them. But for me, it's nice to be able to have options in my repertoire where I can tone up, tone down the temperature, you know? Everything tends to go pink on me. And so when I wear something that's hot pink, it tends to go overly pink, but you can see I put on a cool tone, and because of my undertones, it starts to adjust and looks right at home. Then we have Rosé Latte, which is honestly like one of my favorite shades of all of the cream blushes that I own, because it's right there with the Lilah B in terms of being almost tan, you know? It's like a beautiful, almost bronzer shade that has a little bit of like a red undertone to it. And it's also really sheer, not sheer, but like translucent without that opacity behind it. And I think she did a really good job of that as well. And then when we're talking in the same breath of being able to adjust your shade from cool to warm or warm to cool, that's what kind of Drama Class is to me. When I looked online, I saw these swatches on like these super pale models' faces, and I was like, that looks incredible. Like, that looks amazing. So I have actually found that this is really, really good for making a contour that isn't a contour. It's not like gray or brown, you know, and it basically just like adjusts a shade. You apply it really, really lightly, and it's just gonna add a little bit of a coolness and a depth to what you already have on your face without reading purple. And you could apply it alone and it could read purple if you wanted. But I think that that's kind of what makes it such an interesting and more universal shade than you would think, you know? I think that a lot of people could get away with wearing it because it is so watercolory. Like that. It's gonna be my whole arm. When I filmed this on Friday, I forgot that I had already like put on a self-tan for that day. And so I was like, I can't wash these off. I had to leave them on for like 3.5 hours after I filmed that video, and I didn't even end up being able to use the video. So those are the Fenty cream blushes. I think they're an amazing product. I think she did a fantastic job. They get a lot of critique for being small for the price. They are running a sale. Well, the sale ends today, but you can get a deal on these on occasion. Same thing with Tower 28. They will send out discounts all the time. But like I said, both of these are 20 bucks per. All right, next. And this is something that was also in my powder blushes video, and that is because she's a wild card. This formula is bonkers. This is the BareMinerals Bounce and Blur Coral Cloud. Bounce and Blur in Coral Cloud. And this is another one where I feel like we need to get close so you guys can see how stinking weird this formula is. The one thing that I would compare it to, it's pretty similar to the ColourPop Super Shock formula. It's just got that funny, like velvety kind of feeling to it where it's not a cream and it's not a powder, or maybe it's both. And I also happen to love this shade, especially in the winter time. So I am running out of real estate here. That was not a good enough swatch. This bad boy I think is also 30 bucks. Not exactly inexpensive, but you get 0.19 ounces. Very, very good. And I'm pretty sure that BareMinerals will also offer some kind of discount if you order directly from their website. I can't say enough about that formula though. It's so impossible to screw up. That's how I feel about the eyeshadow formula too. If anything, it blends away. You know, it's not going to be so pigmented that you are in trouble and you can't get yourself out of it. If anything, you start kind of patting it on because it is so forgiving to the point that you can kind of rub it away if you don't like what you did or something like that. Same thing goes with the eyeshadows, but look at that color. Oh my gosh. Okay, moving into my faves in the home stretch here. So number whatever, like 4, I guess? Yeah, something like that. Is the Westman Atelier Baby Cheeks Blush Stick in Petal. Like I said, this is super expensive, but it's not as expensive pound for pound as the Lilah B, as it turns out. And this shade Petal is just bomb. It's so beautiful. I bought this for my sister. Look at that color. Oh my God. I bought this for my sister for Christmas because she is obsessed with cream products. If you are kind of unfamiliar with the appeal of cream products, they're just so universal. You can wear them at any age, any skin tone, any skin type, any weather. They're just gonna be really agreeable. It's always a challenge to kind of find the formula that works the best for your skin type, because a lot of people, if they're oily, they're very concerned with something being too greasy on their face, that kind of thing. I suggest going with something that's a little stiffer maybe, or something that is just wears a little bit lighter weight on the face or is more pigmented so that you don't have to put as much on, basically. So like the ILIA or something like that, you know, this might work better on oily skin because you don't have to put as much on. So anyway, I bought this for my sister because she is very discerning and she likes a really minimal collection, and I always try and buy her my like rock star product of the year, you know, for Christmas. And I bought her that. I got her the bronzer stick or the contour stick, and I also got her the OC red algae mask, and all of them were just like total home runs for her. The year before that, I bought her the Thrive mask, and she's like, this stuff is incredible. So that is kind of the pattern, and so that is the distinction that I give to this. It's not just a beautiful formula, it's not just a beautiful color, but it's also a luxury experience that I think actually rises to the occasion that is presented by the price. This delivers on the cheek champagne of it all. All right, top 3. And these are almost like not rankable. You know what I mean? They all just kind of are sitting at the top because they're unique to me. So we'll start with my girl Kosas. So some of these they sent to me, some of these I bought. So this is Tropic, Equinox, 8th Muse, and Velvet Melon. We're gonna start with Velvet Melon. This is what she looks like. Boy, is she loved. Oh my gosh. That perfect peachy shade is what we're talking about here. So that's Velvet Melon. My God, that is a terrible swatch khaki. There you go. So glossy. That is one thing that you need to know about Kosas blushes, but I think that it's beautiful. It actually does stay put really nicely. And the thing that I really, well, there are 2 things that I think are really, really unique about this. One, they have updated their compacts so that now all of the highlighters are unique and like they match essentially. You know, they have kind of similar undertones and stuff to the cream blush that is in every compact, so that when you order them, if you order multiples, you get a different highlighter each time too, not just a different blush. Very cool. They've also updated their formula so that all of the blushes are now vegan, which is great. But the other thing is, about, I don't know, like a year ago, maybe a little bit less, they came out with high intensity versions of all of their cheek products. That made me really happy because that is always the conversation when we are talking about pigmentation is inclusivity, and they really took inclusivity to the next level as far as I'm concerned. So that is 8th Muse. It is one of my favorite shades. When my hair was pink, that's all I wanted to wear. It's just perfect. It's got this like lavendery, rosy, cool tone neutral thing to it. It's so, so beautiful. And again, a pretty glossy formula, but it's pigmented enough that you don't have to put so much on that it's gonna make you like a grease ball. So that was 8th Muse and Velvet Melon. And then we have Tropic Equinox. This is my most recent one. I haven't even touched the highlight on this one yet. Let's go ahead and swatch both of them so that you guys can see. So the reason that I love Tropic Equinox is actually just because on my skin tone, it is like a really beautiful golden bronzer. That's not gonna be the case on everybody. A lot of people just call it a nude tone blush. And so let's see. That is the highlight, which is gorgeous. If you can see that, can you see that? This isn't a highlighter video, but that's Tropic Equinox, and it is bomb.com. It is so beautiful. Oh, almost like if you got a foundation in a deeper shade. Like that's how it looks. It's almost a foundation shade for some people, but it does have a little bit of like a peachy thing behind it, a golden peach. Ooh, so pretty, just so pretty. And I've repurchased it. It was one of the first things that I bought from Kosas, and mine expired. And I mean, that's how you can tell you like something, especially when you have a collection this big, is when you repurchase it. So yeah. So if for whatever reason you're looking at that and you're like, Khaki, I need something that's a little bit more transfer proof, you're never going to go wrong with a Glossier Cloud Paint. This is the most undupable formula. And I've gotten so many subscription boxes over the years that there will be something that's packaged just like Cloud Paint, and you'll see it and you're like, oh, I'm gonna try. Nope, that's nothing like Cloud Paint. They just can't get it right. So I happen to love, and you guys probably saw it in my last video, the combination of Beam and Storm. Oh my gosh. Watch that video if you want to see like the perfect rosy tone on the cheeks. It's incredible. Should we do it today? We might just do it today. The thing that I want to do though is I want to show you guys the Salt New York pigments in action today. We haven't done that in a while. That's why I'm saving a little bit of real estate on my face, even though you probably can't tell that I'm trying to save real estate on my face. You're like, no, you have a lot of blush on. No, we're gonna take it to the limit. So I have Storm right here. So beautiful. It's like a bricky red color. And I want to put that, dang it, because I saved real estate for Beam. That was the whole point of me leaving this spot open at the top of the back of my hand, was so that I could show you guys that Beam is actually like right here in the family on my knuckles with the Kosas. And the thing that I love about the Cloud Paints is like once you get them all spread out and everything, they do pretty much go transfer resistant. I won't say transfer proof, but transfer resistant. So here is Storm. This is one of the most surprising shades to me because when I put this on, it works really well on my skin. And this was like the original, well, I think that actually the ILIA, A Fine Romance was the original, but this was like the first really, I don't know, surprising moment of Nordic Child running through the fjords. Like it just gave me this flush on my cheeks that was so shockingly believable that I was just like, wow, okay, cool. And again, the reason that I appreciate Glossier for doing this, and they put out Dawn as well, which is like a hot orange color, not necessarily for me, not created for me. They put out Storm and Dawn because their other shades, their previous 4 shades, Puff, Haze, Beam, Dusk, I think those are the names of them. Some of them had variability in the actual opacity of the pigmentation, especially Puff, that made it work very, very poorly and go super ashy on deep skin tones. So being a very community-based brand, they listened to their constituency, if you will, and they came out with 2 new shades that basically work on all skin tones, especially on deeper skin tones. And so that is what Storm and Dawn are intended to do, although I do feel like Haze is absolutely gorgeous on deep skin tones as well. And I want to swatch that one next to all of its little berry toned friends. Yeah, because it is, again, an absolute dead ringer for the Onami and Cruise and Florence by Mills and Gorgeous Gia. And they're very, very similar kind of berry colors. You can see that little family. So it's just about the price you're willing to pay, how much product you want to get for your money. These are $18 or $30 for two, and you get 0.33 fluid ounces. It's less product for your money than the cheek slime, but it's pretty much more economical than anything else besides that in this entire situation. So I don't know. I feel like I've said so much about cloud paints over the years because I just love them so much that like I'm running out of like new things to say about them. But I think that they are just, especially if you're just getting into cream cheek products, this is gonna be one of those just blow your mind formulas. They're just awesome. So rounding out the entire category, but also kind of the subcategory of inclusivity, is the Salt New York palette. My friend Kiki G here on YouTube, Kiki G Makeup. She's linked on my front page. If you want to watch her swatch every single one of these on different skin tones and things like that, go to her channel. She does an amazing job. The thing that I love about Kiki and her style of doing makeup is A, she really values skin and making skin shine and just really not piling on makeup unnecessarily. She was the first person, before I like knew her personally, I watched her channel because she was the first person who like showed me how to do makeup the way that I didn't even know yet that I wanted to do makeup. She would like put on a bunch of cream products and then she'd be like, done. And I'm like, wait, you're not gonna pound powder on your face? You're not gonna like contour and like drag your face up to the gods? We're not putting on false lashes? That was what kind of was the turning point, oddly enough, for my channel, where, you know, if you were to look at some of my really old videos that are probably privated by now, I tried to do makeup the YouTube way. And a lot of people come to my channel and they're like, Khaki, you do makeup the way that I want people to do makeup, you know? You don't like put a whole bunch of like 800 products on your face and you don't pound yourself to the gods, and it's stuff that actually looks good in person. I have Kiki G to thank for that. She's the one who kind of cracked the code for me on that because she's a professional makeup artist for TV and movie. Like I can love makeup all day long, but I've only ever really worked on my own face, and she just has so much more experience. And so she is very passionate about making products that work on every age and every skin tone and every skin type. And so all of the pigments in her entire repertoire, which these are not all of them, there are 6 of each type. There is like a bronzer range, there's like a highlighter range, and then there's like a blush range, but she names them different things. But I have 2 of the like bronzery ones, the contour, which I've panned to death. And then this is, I think, the light medium bronzer. And then I have the beige and kind of a golden shade in the highlight as well. But this is wine, raspberry, rose, and peach. And these are kind of my top 4 in terms of her blushes. The reason that these are so awesome, besides her whole inclusivity thing and like the fact that they are all like translucent enough that they work on every skin tone, is just that they are, unlike anything else in this entire collection, they're dimethicone based, and so they're going to go on the skin super lightweight and they look like skin. So let's go ahead and put some on. There are a lot of ways to put this on. I don't have a clean sponge here. I haven't applied makeup with a sponge in a really long time, actually. I do find that to be the best way to apply her pigments for myself, just because I like to layer, but we're just gonna go with the brush today because you can. I'm going to start here with raspberry. It's just so beautiful. Let's go ahead and sweetie swatch her. Can you see that? Ooh. Yeah, and you can see very little product and very much pigment, and also very much spreadability. So it is probably my top fave just because it's so easy to use. Like that's the whole point, is that it's just made to be used on sets and things like that, just to enhance your face, but also it's super user friendly. It's made to be like put on with your fingers, you know? So much pigmentation, but like not to the point that you're in trouble, you know? You can keep kind of working your way with the product until you like the opacity of it. And then what I like to do is go with the shade Peach right on a like pop. Same brush, no biggie. Let's swatch that one. So Peach, I mean, I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but Peach is kind of hard to distinguish sometimes from Coral. Coral, I feel like, is gonna give the same effect as Peach on deeper skin tones. That's kind of the point. That is Peach. She is still like pretty darn coral based, and that's what I think is so great about it. It does have like a really bright, springy pop to it. So one of the things that I always say about cloud paints is that you'll put them on and your face will kind of soak them up a little bit. That is just the way that they kind of work because they've got a little bit more emollients to them. I feel like these, you put them on and they're there. You know, they're going to be very true to color and they're going to stay where you put them. Bring the light back to the areas of your face where you think it belongs. The only thing that's difficult about her stuff is that it's hard to source, you know, because she is a small company and right now her stuff's like on back order and everything. And so not back order, but like, you know, she's not completely in control of the speed of production and things like that. And so some of these are just kind of hard to get right away right now kind of thing. So I'm gonna take a little bit of the beige highlight. And as highlights go, it's supposed to be something that just refracts light, not necessarily like a wha-pow. It still looks like skin. I have a lot of different like shade values happening on my face right now. It's because I did not go into my actual look with a plan. And you know, I could just cream tint pro myself to death right now with all of the contours and the bronzers and everything, but that is not what this video is about. But I would say that this formula, those three, the Glossier Cloud Paint, the Kosas, what do they call this? The Color and Light Cream, and the Salt New York all kind of go into the same category of being super inclusive, community-based, and just high performing. They do a really, really good job. They have unique formulas that I can't super compare to anything else, and that's why they kind of all sit at the top for me. They're like all number one, I guess. And also the Kosas shades are just, they're just awesome. They're so good. You know what? We need a little bit of Velvet Melon. Khaki, you're crazy. I know. I can hear the comments right now. They're like, she should have stopped. It's just makeup, we can wash it off. Yes, okay, so again, I want to kind of just group them together in terms of the shades that I think are really similar. So Haze in the Cloud Paint, Anime, Cruise, and the Florence by Mills that just broke on me are super duper similar. All three of these are really, really similar. I think that Beam from Glossier, which I've dropped the lid to, I don't really know, as well as Velvet Melon from Kosas, and actually like the BareMinerals Coral Cloud are gonna be really, really similar as well. They all just have this really nice kind of light peachiness to them. Even though this one is like called Coral, it goes on so sheer that, you know, it still looks very, very similar. And then these three are the other three that I would compare for shades. So I'm getting my fingers all in this, but Tower 28, Magic Hour, the Cuffed Freck Cheek Slime, and then Rose in the Salt New York palette are all very, very similar in shade. So those are all of my cream blushes, guys. This was a crazy thing that I set out to do, and I knew it was gonna take forever, and I tried to be more organized about it this time, and I hope that it made for a more useful video. I swear, guys, you're just going to have to believe me. The last one was so all over the place that like OG subscribers would have been like, oh, this was fun. I was just hanging out with Khaki while we watched her brain just scatter all over the map, but like anybody new would have been like, I want to push her off a cliff. Like, is she ever gonna get to the point? So yeah. If you guys have any other questions, especially about like comparing shades one against the other and stuff like that, if they're really similar, feel free to ask those in the comments below. I will do my best to answer them, but I will not say that I am any kind of like formula expert necessarily. And like I said, I've only worked on this face, so I can't necessarily speak to, oh yes, this is going to work really well on oily skin, or oh, this is really gonna work on like olive undertones and things like that. Like, I don't necessarily know. My guess is as good as just trying to understand color theory. So again, if you are curious about like the undertones and the way that the Salt New York palette works, go to Kiki's channel. She does an amazing job. She's way better at explaining this stuff than I am, but I hope this was valuable for you guys. If you did enjoy it, give it a thumbs up. Give it a big swatchy thumbs up. And if you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, then hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you did. Hit the notification bell because I'm unpredictable. I try to upload as often as I can, but sometimes stuff just doesn't work out. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I love you so freaking much. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.